Welcome to 5 Minutes, your quick dive into the wide-ranging world of insurance, technology, and leadership. I'm Miguel Edwards, and I'll be your guide as we explore these topics that are transforming not just the insurance industry, but the business world at large. Along with sharing observations I've made over the span of my career in insurance, technology, and operations, I'll be chatting with some of the brightest minds in business and leadership. Whether you're a seasoned executive or a rising star, an industry expert, or just curious about how technology is revolutionizing insurance, this is your perfect spot for your weekly dose of insights. This is 5 Minutes. Jake Sloan, thank you so much for joining me again.
Good to be here, man.
Appreciate it. Awesome. And by the way, amazing dinner last night with a great group of insurance technology professionals. It was amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, no, it was great. We were part of that last year with Bill and the team, and thought, it'd be wonderful to be back with such a close community of leaders, and it was exciting. So thanks for joining us. Yeah.
100%. So look, Jake, we're here at ICC 2025, and the talk is AI, it's innovation.
Absolutely.
What are you seeing? What are the conversations that are really kind of inspiring you and Appian to kind of think into the future and move things forward?
Absolutely. Well, it's always great to be here, right?
Yeah.
If you go back to its roots, I guess this is my 8th event here.
Yeah.
And it's always great to be with new ideas, new perspectives, and you compare and contrast that to kind of what I guess we call legacy insurers, and how those older insurers bring these new ideas. And so just surrounding yourself with that community is first and foremost exciting. And then secondly, when we start talking about AI and process, so you've probably seen them as well. MIT reports and others that talk about all this investment that goes in, but only 5% of those are netting results. And so that's where no crystal ball for us, but when we look at our data fabric, which connects to disparate data sources, and we take AI worker inside of a process and stay focused on value, that's really what we see both from the community at large as well as where we're at today, and really focusing on that. So,
yeah, that's really fascinating. When you think about the folks that are taking advantage of this new technology, the technology you're bringing to the table, or just kind of writ large, are you seeing that? Excuse me. Are you seeing that kind of with legacy carriers, startup carriers, a mixture of the both? Because one of the things that always kind of occurs to me is I think about especially the number of startup carriers you're starting to see, and the inherent advantage they have.
The barrier is lower to get in.
Exactly. Yeah. Where are you seeing the most kind of at play?
It's a great question, and I don't want to portray one to be a little sluggish than the other, but I will say that so a lot of interest from both sides. Certainly, a more comfort and familiarity with some of the startups as it relates to using tech to scale from day one in contrast to, and in all fairness, you're not comparing apples to apples with the complexity. Yeah. But I will say that we're seeing less interest and slower adoption from the life side, interestingly enough.
Okay.
And and again, there's pros and cons to that. I think maybe some of the P&C insurers, carriers, as they have aerial imagery and some of the other aspects, some of the innovations. So we've also been focusing really on helping from that perspective to understand how, again, AI in that process can help, whether it be in underwriting, whether it be in claims, determining what the next best action is, and doing it with guardrails, because all of us want to be, we're all regulated, of course, and you want to keep that data in your four walls. But especially on the life insurers, we're seeing more interest and more focus on that proof of technology kind of aspect.
Sure. Yeah. So former life CIO. So I started thinking about two main challenges that I always dealt with, which is when you're talking about P&C, you can always do your migration at renewal, right? And kind of just, you don't have to worry about kind of everything.
Versus set and forget it.
Yes, set and forget it. Versus life. You're talking about trying to keep policies that are 20 years old, keeping them moving forward, and having to do that full scale migration. That's one thing I think about. And then the second thing I think about is finding technology, especially if you got, like IUL products, finding technology that can do that overnight processing, that revaluation overnight as fast. What are the solves for these things for a life CIO thinking about this conundrum?
It's a great question, because when you think about how the differences, right, when you can migrate off of on the P&C side, you migrate to new, in contrast to the life carriers trying to keep those, all those around, if you will, to some extent. But it's an iterative approach. So being able to no rip and replace. I mean, it has its 1% scenario, but largely it's doing it through agile, iterative focus.
Right.
And then secondly, it's really figuring out what parts of the business they're trying to modernize first. Maybe it's the customer experience, maybe it's being able to get a product to market more quickly. One of our premier partners here, PwC, brought to just announced yesterday a state rates and filings application that's built on top of Appian, and it's an example where in the life space, being able to create those products that you want to be hyper personalized, but you also look at all the different pieces of the value chain. So not exactly the question you asked, but when we think about though, iteratively you can only go as fast as the slowest part. Yet holistically, we all want to go to this direction of being able to use the best of breeds of technology, and how AI and those scenarios or those processes make sense.
Thank you for joining this episode of 5 Minutes. If you've enjoyed our discussion, we'd love for you to share it with anyone else you think might find it interesting. Also, please subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're listening on and hit that bell to stay on top of the game with our practical 5-minute episodes. We look forward to seeing you again next week.